My name is Brett Kitchen. I've been a member of the group since 2002, and I just wanted to say how happy I am that you're here, and I'm glad that the book is out in time for this. The book came about because we had our 25th anniversary party in December of 2009, and we had a great time. Everyone was here. People who hadn't seen each other in many years, some of them I think. And we started talking about everyone's individual experiences, how they got introduced to the group, et cetera, et cetera. And I thought, you know, you have to write these things down sometimes, or it will all be forgotten, just like the reason you take a photograph, to have something to look at years later. And so we sat down and discussed it, and we decided it would be a good thing to do. And I think we made that decision in February of last year, and then about this time last year, one of the publicists for Open Studios suggested that we talk to the DC Arts and Humanities Council about what we're doing, and that we might get a grant. Well, we applied for the grant, and we got it. And so that helped pay for the editorial costs, the design costs, and toward printing costs as well. So we all had to do our submissions. I was the editor of the book and had to lasso everyone in and beat them over the head sometimes, but it's amazing to get some, 30 people, I think, to turn in a contribution. It's not easy, so...
30 artists.
And artists, yeah, artists. But it was an amazing story if you ever have time to sit down and read the individual contributions, to see how people from a city like Washington with very diverse lives and backgrounds come in on a Tuesday night and take off their disguises and become artists for the night. So I'm glad you're here. Enjoy.
Thank you.
Although the group originally was formed with very close friends that had several things in common, over the years, it was a project that was open to much more than just friends. And I want to bring to the floor our very good friend Johnny, who is a very good example of a person who never knew us, who had nothing in common with us at that point, and yet became a full-fledged, full member of our club, we can call it.
Right, yeah, if you look through the book, you'll see a lot of stories have something in common where somebody was put into the group, introduced, somebody was a friend or whatever, and there was that sort of tie. I was at a point where I'd been studying painting under a teacher who we just had a difference of opinions at one point, and she was very strict, and I was looking for something a little more open. And I was just looking around, and I came across the website for the Tuesday night group, and I saw, you know, if you look around the room here, I don't know if I can explain to you, but you know, all of this is Micheline's work over here, and then the work over here is the Tuesday night group's work. So you'll see different names on the wall and different artists. Well, that type of thing was up on the website, and I saw all these different medium and different styles, and I thought, well, these are my teachers. They're all, they all have something different to say and a different way to say it, and it just sounded like a great group. So I contacted Micheline, and I said, can I join your group? And you know, she wrote back and said, well, I have to go talk to the group about it, because like, this has never happened before. We don't let these outsiders in. And so a week or two later, I heard back from her, she said, yeah, you know, I talked to them, and I'd sent her a couple examples of some of my stuff. And yeah, why don't you come and try it? And I said, okay, well, does it cost anything? She said, well, the price of admission is $10 and a bottle of wine. I was like, this is my group, these are my people. So I showed up on a Tuesday night with my $10 and a bottle of wine, and it was love at first sight, and I felt included right away. And the friendships have just grown over time, and it's been really, I picked up, I mentioned my little write-up, how I've stolen a little bit from every one of you, and unashamedly so. You know, I'm very happy to take what you have to offer and to make it my own. And so it's been that type of thing. And also part of the evening is we do our work over there, and then we come, we take a short break, and we gather, and we talk, and we walk around, and we look at what everyone else is doing. And we usually very complimentary, but you know, offer ideas for you know, just opinions on what's happening, and it's just a really great, inclusive friendly, nurturing environment, and I'm just so happy you let me in the club. So thank you all.
There are lots of elements that come into action to make a group successful enough that after 27 years they're still getting together. And most probably, the recipe is a perfect balance between the interest that we had in producing art, but the other 50% was the fact that we really enjoy getting together, to be able to once a week bring our problems or bring our excitement and share it with these other people, where we would discuss politics, we would discuss art, we would discuss sex, all of those things that you need interesting people to bounce ideas back and forth. And I think that it's because of these two elements that the group kept on coming back, even if at one point we were less enthusiastic about how far our art was going. But then, parallel to this, I cannot imagine that we would have been successful with this group if we would have not stumbled upon incredible models. Sue-Ann being the very first one. I mean, she was even living in the group house where the first session began.
Few pounds heavier.
But before we pass the floor to Sue-Ann, I was wondering if Melissa or Emmanuel would like to say a few words as some of our most favorite models. If you have ever worked with figure drawing, a model is fundamental, and no matter how incredible they are, after a while you need variation. You need fat, you need slim, you need tall, you need old and young, and that's why, although in the beginning we had our friends, we had to put a gun on their heads and force them sometimes, even if they fought back, for them to be our models. And when we ran out of friends, we started finding other ways, and we stumble upon the favorite ones, which no matter what happens, we always call them back. So, Melissa, do you think you could tell us something about what does it feel to be so vulnerable and surrounded by these inquisitive eyes? What do you think? How do you stand the boredom of?
I think I might. Well, this group was my first experience with life modeling, even though I'd wanted to try it for a while. And I actually met Yayo at a party, and he said, "Would you want to do this?" And I took him up on it. But and I've since modeled elsewhere, and it's really easy to be spoiled by this group to the extent that you don't want to go anywhere else. But and I think I'm in a little bit of a unique situation because I am a dancer and performer, and I perform sometimes nude, so I'm used to eyes being on my body in a way that maybe others aren't. And I will say I also feel, in some ways as a performer, that this is still a performative experience. I was explaining to my parents earlier that it feels a performance in the service of art. And it's a collaborative process. It doesn't feel like people are using your form so much as interacting with your form to create something. And it's, I think that was something I wasn't expecting. And I think the realization of that happened over time. It's also a real gift to be given 3 hours with only some interruptions, but 3 hours of stillness. It's quite meditative. It's contributive. It's a very deep process. And the process of enduring pain, which inevitably happens when your body is still, no matter how comfortable the pose is. And this group is really kind on the body, but even still, no matter what, your limbs fall asleep and your neck gets a crick. And it's interesting to experience time and pain and the ebb and flow of those feelings. I've discovered an inner metronome that I've found to be helpful in other ways in my life, and I think it's just a really interesting artistic experience to be with your body and to be with others in your body in the way that modeling provides. I think it's a real gift. So, and I love the group. They are a gift.
Thank you very much.